Captain on the bridge.
Alright, captains, we are back on the bridge, and today we got some things to go over in Star Trek Online. So, on screen. Yes, captains, before we get into this video, do us a huge favor. Hit that like button, as it does really help the channel out. But also, if you're new here, welcome. Consider subscribing here to our YouTube bridge, where we're always on the lookout for like-minded captains, where we can share our love, our passion for Star Trek Online, and also things Star Trek. And with that said, here we go. Captains, you saw the thumbnail. You know what we're going to be talking about here. So what we're going to do is drop our two ECs on what we're going to go over here, and then at the end give our conclusions. Captains, we try to do our very best to be very positive here on this channel, but what comes also with that sharing of the passion we have is also sharing the frustrations. And lately this has actually hit us pretty hard here. So what you see here on screen was from actually just a recent live stream we did here. As of this video, it was from last night. Now, the thumbnail you see there was actually from when we were going to do, or went before we were going to do the legendary Fortescue torpedo build video. And that ship in itself was a recent ship, of course, that just came out with the inquiry. As of the recent, not the inquiry, sorry. The legendary Fortescue, yeah, no, it came with the inquiry, see, now it's all, but anyways. And so this is just a recent thing that still keeps happening. And I know one of our devs there in Star Trek Online is also a Twitch streamer, Avatar, has said that they tried to fix this out and they fixed it, but it's still happening. So when we save our loadouts, okay, I've been told many things is to try to negate this, but it's still happening. One of the things I love doing is flying the different ships, but sometimes I actually get scared and or just don't want to switch ships because of the fear of going back, switching to that ship, and then the loadout being all bugged. And it happened to us here in the stream here last night, and we're going to show that off so that you can see how it's happened. So I'm just turning the volume off. Now, in this particular instance, we were in the board port. So again, we just did that video there that we released there on the channel. Go check that out, captains, so you can see how well that board port did for us. But we also wanted to go fly the inquiry, so go back to the inquiry there. And I was a little hesitant, but it actually did happen here, which was the fear. So I'm gonna just play this, and you can see I'm switching out of the Fortescue, going into the inquiry, and the whole loadout was bugged. Now, this was saved into a loadout, but as you can see, when I got into the ship, first thing that happened, again, that same message that you see in the actual thumbnail, unable to equip some items from the loadout. And I saved the loadout. I know I did. Because when we got into this, well, it did hold some of the things. It held some of the weapons there, minus the torpedo in the front, and held the aft weapons, held the ISO mags. But as you can see here, I tried to actually restore it. It still says unable to equip some items from the loadout. Now, I know that I was told that to save it under a different, or to write over this loadout 1, that didn't do anything, because even in the thumbnail you can see I did that with the board, didn't make a difference. So anyways, so what we did here, obviously what we had to do is rebuild it from scratch. And we weren't the happiest of campers, but we had to do it anyways because we wanted to fly the ship. Now I'm going to try to forward this here to when we actually finish building her out. The load here, there you go. We're loading the traits there. And of course we had to go through the whole process of building the ship. And it was on the live stream, so you know, caps were waiting for me to do that. Thankfully we kind of figured out what we did recently, but it was really kind of sort of easy anyways because it was just a can build. So it's just a time, and this feature should allow us to quickly switch between the ships that we want to fly without having to do this every single time. And it kind of does get to you. It kind of gets under one's skin. My stations held, so that was great, but I know my traits didn't. Okay, so we're there. What we wanted to do again is just make sure we placed everything in our tray here where it's supposed to be. Okay, in terms of how we want our tray set up. Okay, so we're doing that. And for me, this is what, and what we want to show is what causes it for me. And what I've noticed mostly, one, of course, switching ships, but two, this feature in itself, which shouldn't, I feel like shouldn't happen. Again, we're just checking out our trays here and making sure everything is hunky-dory. Making sure everything got saved there on the trays. And you're going to see we're going to save it to that loadout, but also change that loadout one to a second best def is what I put in there, and save it again. To that. Okay, right? Everything's fine. So notice how I close the actual status window of where we do the build. Now, what happens is when we open it, because we did change something on the tray, and we put the Kobayashi Maru there on the tray again after I get over how beautiful the ship is. But I open up that status page again. And in doing so, that is what resets my loadout, or disregards it. But this not only happened once, but 3 times this stream, or 4. Well, 2 of them, the latter end there being our good friend Spencer trolling me because he knows that's what causes my loadout to reset there. So right there, as soon as I open that up, all my bridge officers are gone. Now, thankfully, I've saved it. All I gotta do is hit that and it goes back. But it shouldn't have to happen. I was already in the ship. I didn't change anything. But it's just me opening the window is what causes it. And you can see there again, I'm changing it there. I save it to both loadouts. I just make sure everything is saved there. Check over my doffs. Make sure they're all set, and then I save it again. To both. I'll save it to both. Just have to wait a little bit. Save it to both. Close it again. Now here I'm just trying to set up the TFO here with my fellow captains that I'm with here. Shout out to you caps who did our pews with us tonight. But I actually get a message here, and you can see there in the bottom left corner of the screen from our good friend Spencer. But to troll me, he says, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you show me those ISO?" So I do it, and of course that is what actually causes it again. Or I open it actually before that, and look, it's set. Again, it took out my boff seating, and all I had to do again was actually hit the bell, which is good and fine and dandy. But this bug of the loadout has been here for so long. Oh, this is why I opened it, because someone wanted to see in chat the Baul shield on it, or the Section 31 shield, and I put it on. That's why I opened up my status page again. And again, I have no problem in doing that. It's just that I don't want to have to keep doing that every time. And I know I'm sounding like I'm being negative, and to a certain degree I am, because it's a little annoying. And we've been dealing with this for the longest of time. I don't know, years now. And they fix it, they think they get it, but then again, it's still happening. As of this video, October 10, it is still happening. 2023, it is still happening, and we would just want this to be fixed. It would be great if this loadout bug is fixed. Now, a couple of months ago, maybe 3-4 months now ago back, we were building out a ship on stream. Same thing, it kept happening. The only thing that had saved me was keeping this loadout window opened while I was doing everything else. So if anything that I can take away from this experience is, if I can let you captains know, is when you're doing all this stuff, keep that status window open where you can see all your weapons and all that stuff. When you're building things, when you're checking your DOFs or anything, fixing your trays, keep it open, because at least doing that, it won't reset your build. Or at least, again, it's doing it to me. I'm not sure if it's doing it to you. And then here you see Spencer doing the, can you do something for me? And again, I just crafted some batteries there. But as you can see, it doesn't reset, I should say. But you can see me saving it to the best depth there. Actually, I just did it to the once, but of course I asked him, okay, well, what's the favor? And he's like, go ahead and show me them beautiful isomags. Hover over them beautiful isomags. I'm like, oh, okay. I know Spencer's been loving those isomags, as of all of us. Those things being added to me were great. But as you can see, there you go. It reset my boffs again. So it does get really annoying, and I put this video out not to be too negative, but just to, my purpose of it is to bring attention to this, that please, we need this fixed. We really do. I don't know all the and I understand that the stow code is such a spaghetti code, but at this point we need to hopefully put some time into fixing this, because I know some people that have just not even stopped using ships because they don't want to come across this. And it does get super annoying at times, and I'm going to pause it right there because you captains already know that that's what's happening to me. And if it's happening to you, like I'm going to go back to what I said before, when you're building out your ship, keep that status window open. Do all the changes you need first, and then save it. And save it twice. But again, it doesn't really matter. It's happened to me already on the board, where hence you see that thumbnail. It didn't matter I had 2 loadout saved. It still did it when I went back to the ship. And it does actually turn some people off to the game, because case in point, as of today, or yesterday, Gusto came back or made a video back to his channel there. And one of the things that he said, that he's been watching Spencer's videos, and he says, well, he's not going to really be doing content for Stowe because Stowe still has a bunch of bugs. And I understand, not only Stowe, but a lot of MMOs, other games have bugs. And that is the thing. And I accept that. And again, I'm not trying to be too negative here, but maybe a solution that I can't remember. Captains, if you know, let me know in the comments below. There's a game out there that dedicated time to fixing the bugs that it had. So much so, and I think it didn't even do anything else but fix that. It took months or maybe even a year of making new content until they fixed, and they didn't do new content until they fixed the current bugs it was having. I can't remember what game it was. And Caps, if you know, let me know in the comments below. But that would be great. Now, I understand, I really do, that Stowe needs to make a game. I go back to that comment that when Bordicus was still here, that if they don't make ships, they don't make money. But if you don't have players, and you have players leaving because of bugs like this, how could you be making money? still, right? And I know they keep enticing us with ships, and I get it. I say that Stowe has cornered itself into that point where they have to do this, but I beg to make the argument that you also have to fix the bugs, because you do have people leaving Stowe, and I personally want Stowe to be healthy. I personally want Stowe to continue on, and especially for long-term players like myself and others, we want to be able to enjoy this game, and part of our enjoyment is using our ships. But I don't want to have that feeling of hitting that switch ship loadout or switch ships and then going into a ship that I know that I saved the loadout and then all being borked again. You know, and I remember a good old friend of ours, support of us too as well, Musin, shout out to you, told us one of the problems was the consumables. Something about it not saving properly, and it was screwing up the whole loadout. But they fixed that. Well, it's not fixed. Okay, let's just get it out of the way. It is not fixed. And again, part of my passion is in this video, if I guess like anything, is just making a plea to please to our Stowe devs. Let's please try to fix this, because it is really, really bad. And having to be almost afraid of switching ships shouldn't be a thing here. We should be able to switch ships freely without having the problems of these bugs, these loadout bugs, because that's why we buy all these ships. That's why we have all these ships, so that we can enjoy them. But captains, if you are having these issues, let us know in the comments below. Let us know what fixes you have done, and if those fixes have actually lasted, and or if you are actually encountering these bugs or quote-unquote features. And again, I will take this moment to again just maybe use this as a learning to those people who are coming across this problem. If you're gonna be switching ships or fixing your ship while you're actually doing your build, leave the status window on, because that has saved me a couple times, not all the time, because I always forget. Now, in fairness, there are times that I have switched ships and everything was fine. I think just a couple nights ago, we were switching out to our Dumbo ship, the Tooth, and when we switched to that ship, the loadout was actually fine. So kudos then, that was fine. So that's what I thought. Everything was okay until, well, of course, we went to the board, and tonight, or at least as of this video, went to the inquiry. That was still there. So sometimes it works, but for the majority of the time it doesn't. So again, I make this to bring attention to it and hopefully have our devs work on this, because on top of the other issues that we have in game, I think this is the most one that I have issue with, or I take issue with. Not even ships being released broken, that it happens, I understand, but this is the most annoying feature that we have so far. So again, I won't try to beat a dead horse, but all my purpose is to bring attention to this. So again, caps, do us a huge favor, hit that like button, and in the comments below, let's not be too negative, but let's bring attention to this issue as best as we can, and share this video out to the devs. If you have connections to them, I'm hoping they see this and say, hey, yeah, maybe this is something that we can try to work on. And if they are not aware of it, and hopefully, again, bring awareness to it, that the problem is, at least that I'm experiencing, is when I close my window, my UI, and open it again, I lose my bridge officers. And sometimes I'll actually be in the middle of a build and close a window, and if I open the window, lose whatever progress I did because I didn't save it. So with that said, again, consider subscribing here to our YouTube bridge, and hopefully, again, we get this issue resolved soon. And we'll leave it, of course, still on this note.
Live long and prosper.